Hey guys, it's Stephanie here with the FlowerFanatic. In this video, I'm going to help you learn how to create your own pollinating garden. It is so much fun to attract more butterflies and bees and the good insects that eat those annoying pests in your garden. I consider them my little friends, and all they require from me is to plant flowers. And if anyone knows me, I'm always finding an excuse to plant some more plants in my flower bed. All of these flowers really love the heat. They're sun loving, they're drought tolerant, and you're going to learn a few cool things about these different plants. And I'm going to give you some options to have that early spring bloom, your summer bloom, and then plants that are going to bloom in the fall, so you can attract all of these pollinators the entire gardening season. I'm at my local botanical center. They've done a great job creating this pollinating garden, and I'm glad they let me highlight it. These are all easy plants to grow, don't require a lot of maintenance, so these are definitely flowers that you can grow in your own yard. So I'm gonna go ahead and highlight the ones that bloom in spring first. I'm gonna kind of try and do this in order for you because it can kind of be confusing. And then I'll show you the ones that bloom in early summer to kind of late summer, and then the ones that come out in late summer until fall. So I have it a little bit more organized for you guys. This first plant is called Catmint. This is great for attracting bees. I have it in my yard and the bees go nuts over it. It's drought tolerant, cold hardy, doesn't require a lot of moisture in the soil, and you'll get bees all summer long. Columbine, this is a cool one. This also comes out in the spring. I like the texture on the leaves. They kind of have exotic looking flowers. Right here, there's one left, that bright yellow one. And look at all of these flowers that have already bloomed. You can kind of keep those on. They'll self-seed throughout your yard. They're kind of a short-lived perennial, but the hummingbirds love this one. So put it somewhere where you can attract hummingbirds, maybe on your back porch or your front porch where you have a little bench seat and you can enjoy those hummingbirds. They are more tolerant of part shade. You can see here in the hot sun the leaves burn a little bit, but that's okay. They're not going to die. I just really like this plant because it's just a really cool, unique plant to put in your yard. It gets about 2 feet tall to 2 feet wide. It's cold hardy to about zone 4. This next one is an early spring bloomer. This is the Pincushion, I guess more like spring, not early spring. But this one is a nice way to provide that bright blue. They have purple ones, blue ones. This is a shorter variety. I have one that's a little bit taller, and they're actually great for cutting also. So the bees and the butterflies like this one. This is a shorter variety, and this will give you blooms periodically on and off throughout the entire summer. Just go ahead and deadhead those spent blooms right there. There's quite a few, and then those ones below will start to come up. This is Coreopsis. I forgot to add that the columbine is a great cutting flower in addition to that pincushion, but this one, you can see how many blooms there are still going on this plant. I have it in my yard. I have the mouse ears variety, and it just has been blooming since early spring, and it's still going, and I haven't done anything to it. And in this plant, you can see all those new buds are still coming out. The bees love this bright yellow color. I like the way the plant is shaped even when it's not in bloom. It's pretty tidy, keeps in check, but it will kind of self-seed and naturalize, but it's not invasive. So this is a great one for the garden. There are so many different fun varieties out there. They have some peachy ones. They have some tall varieties with some red striping. There is a color for everyone. So I definitely put this one in your yard. This next plant is called Gaara. This is actually a good xeriscape water-wise plant. I like this one because it kind of looks like a grass, so it provides a nice texture and interest amongst your other flowers. It only gets about 2 to 3 feet tall and wide, but I would definitely recommend putting them in groupings of 5 or more for a more dramatic appeal. You can see the flowers are a little bit small, they're a little bit dainty, and they're magical, so I like this plant quite a bit. And it's cold hardy to about zone 4 through 9, so all of these plants are pretty cold hardy. This next one I'm super excited to show you. It's one of my favorites. This is a variegated agastachi. They also call it Indian mint. Look at the leaves on those, and they get these purple flowers that bloom for a long time. It kind of reminds me of the ivory halo dogwood. I am considering replacing mine with this because I get those flowers where my dogwood does not. Right here you can see it's kind of trying to revert that variegation back to its original, I don't know what they call it, but all you have to do is kind of cut that out like you would with a grafted rose. If the graft comes out, hurry and cut out that stem. But my friend Nate from the USU Extension, he's an expert, gave me some great tips. He says, cut these, and they're great for rooting. And he said, honey is a natural hormone, rooting hormone. So dip them in honey, put them in some soil. And then he also said florists love this plant. So I'm considering planting it for that reason. This next one is called fleabane. It's kind of like a mini daisy. It's evening right now, so they're closing up. They were open up about 2 hours ago when I was here and the sun was out. But this is a beautiful wild flower. It's actually an annual and kind of considered a biennial because in this particular setting, it's they've self-sown and they haven't replanted them, and they come back every winter, although they're not a perennial. So that's pretty cool. They've just kind of naturalized. They look beautiful in drifts. They're really tall. I would say 3 feet tall. And you can see how the pollinators would just go crazy over this. This is the Shasta daisy, or some sort of daisy. These bloom very abundantly. They're all gonna need to be deadheaded. I'm actually gonna do that next week, and then they'll rebloom. I like this one because they stay nice and tidy. They're kind of in a mound, and they just give you that white color if you're looking for a nice, vibrant white color. They're just traditional. You can't go wrong with the Shasta daisy. This next one is one of my favorites. I'm definitely gonna have to add it to my flower bed. It's called lyatrist, and I love it because I like the spiky plants, first of all, the spiky blooms, which provide some interest, but look at the texture on that foliage. It is soft and it will look that nice all summer long. And it also grows in succession, so you get blooms for a very long time. They bloom at different times. It kind of reminds me of the blue star Amsonia for that texture. They have them in different colors. These ones are only about, I'm gonna say 24 inches tall to about 2 feet wide. And they pair beautifully with this bee balm. Bee balm is in the mint family. These will kind of like spread and go crazy. So you don't need to really buy too many of these plants. You buy one and then you'll have enough to fit the rest of your yard. This is a shorter variety. It only looks about 18 inches tall, but there are some taller varieties out there. And the bees really love this one. It provides that nice bright pink color in addition to the whites and those purples and some yellows. So nice addition to the pollinator garden. This is Heliopsis. So this is a taller variety. It kind of reminds me of sunflowers. It's about 4 feet tall. This is becoming definitely one of my favorite plants in Utah because it's just gives you color for such a long amount of time. It's stunning. There are an abundant number of blooms. It just goes crazy all the way until fall. And actually, Nate, another great tip he gave me is this is one of the first plants to tell you that you need more water. It will start to droop. So if these start to droop, this Heliopsis, you know you need to water your flower beds more often. And they're really low care, low maintenance. All you have to do in fall is cut them down to the ground, or you can even wait until spring. But I recommend doing it in the fall. This is another form of Heliopsis. It's a variegated variety, a shorter variety. It only gets about 20 inches tall, and I think those leaves are really beautiful against that non-variegated, taller variety. And then this is lavender. We all know lavender. The bees love lavender. Look at this bumblebee. So it's interesting. All the pollinators have kind of disappeared on the other plants, but they're still going strong on the lavender. So the lavender seems to attract the pollinators in the evening, whereas the other ones don't. So I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how this Heliopsis pairs so well with this lavender. They just have drifts of that Heliopsis throughout with drifts of lavender, and I just cannot get over how beautiful the edge of this flower bed is. Just look at that. It goes to show you that less is often more and can be a lot more dramatic and appealing in your flower beds. This one right here is Coneflower, so it comes out a little bit later, late summer where I live. It might come out a little bit earlier where you live, but I love this one. Look at the cone-shaped heads on those. It's also known as echinacea, and I cannot tell you how many different varieties there are of these types of flowers. They have peaches, they have bright reds, yellows, creams, white. I love the powwow white, but they're really pretty. They get about 18 to 20 inches tall. They're actually a great filler plant. Right here is an orange variety, and they have some puffy top ones, which is cool. I think I'm going to put them in my cutting garden because they're also great for cutting. I'm trying to create a cutting garden that is a little bit more low maintenance. This next one is Rudbeckia. Look how beautiful this is. It kind of reminds me of a single-petaled dahlia. It's cold hardy down to zone 4. Enough said with this plant. I think you can see that it's beautiful. Here's Verbena. I really like this one because it doesn't take up a lot of space and it provides that nice purple color. You can put it in between plants that you need a little filler. Here's where I was talking about. See how little space they take? I think they'd look really nice in between roses or in the back of a border. So this is the Hibiscus Mallow. So they're already kind of fading right here. They get so many buds. The blooms don't last very long. They only last for like a day, but look at how many buds are popping out. So because there are so many buds, they last for a super long time. They get giant. So they get about 4 to 5 feet tall and wide. Look at those big blossoms that are ready to pop out. So they kind of come out in the late summer and they'll kind of bloom until fall or a little bit before fall. They're really easy to grow. They like the moisture. They like wet soil, but they'll also tolerate a little dry soil. So this is a beautiful plant if you need a big space to fill. I definitely pair them in 3 just for that dramatic appeal. I love this plant. The leaves are huge. They are just gorgeous even when they're not in bloom, but those, you can't beat those flowers. This next one is Aster. It's a late blooming. This will bloom in the fall, so they haven't come out yet, but this one is loaded and they have lots of fun colors, pinks, purples, I don't know, whites, creams, lots of different colors, and they get quite tall. Actually, this is a taller variety. There are some shorter varieties. They have a nice bushy growth, so definitely one of those later blooming ones. And then you have your Sedum. So these ones provide such a nice texture. So it's good to put different types of plants in your pollinator garden, different textures, different colors, different heights to attract different types of pollinators and those good insects. But these ones are cool because they store water in their leaves. They're super drought tolerant, and then they get really late blooms. And these actually divide well. I don't have to water these as much. These are one of the latest blooming flowers. And then right here, they have this dark purple Sedum. They have some ground covers that come in so many different colors. I just cannot tell you how many different Sedums are out there. Just kind of search for them and decide which ones you love. And it looks pretty with that Shasta daisy. I hope you guys liked this video and got some good ideas. Maybe you're gonna run out and buy some of these flowers now to create your own pollinating garden. I'm glad you stopped by. Have a great day gardening, and we will talk to you later. Bye.